Hey guys, it's John Anthony Chihawk Soltero, and I am here. There we go. Very unprofessional, but however, that's if you know anything about me, you know that I'm not one who is professional in the traditional sense. I'm reliable and I'm quality and I'm affordable, but you know, all that other stuff. I don't wear a tie. I don't like shirts with collars that button up, things like that. Anyways, on to the video. I am doing a reaction video or a review video for the Tucson Toy Show, which just happened today. Came home, got a chance to relax, recoup, bring all my stuff back in, and just let you know a little bit about it. It is a one-day show. It's on a Sunday, which is kind of cool, and it used to be called TMAC, the Tucson Miniature Auto Club, or put together by TMAC, I should say. This was the 31st year for the show, and this was the very first time that I took place in terms of tabling at this show. Initially, I was just going to sell, you know, the Bubble Patrol, Euthanasia, Fuzzy Face, the sketch covers that I do, my prints, stuff like that. But I've been looking to kind of more minimize the collection that I have on hand and do some stuff about the ego that I have about being able to say, well, I've got that figure, I've got that comic, you know, I've got this, I've got that. And it wasn't even really about loving or enjoying what I had or appreciating it. It was more about just being able to say I had it. So there was a huge part and a good catharsis in this show for me, at least in the attempt to put my stuff out there for people to be able to purchase. It also can help raise some much needed funds for different things, because my car started making weird noises last night, and I think it's just a belt, but I don't know much about cars, and gonna have to take it to a mechanic. But Tucson Toy Show was awesome. The table was affordable. It was 8 feet long, 7 to 8 feet long, so I was able to put all my stuff on it. I did bring a secondary table that I put behind it so that I could put racks up to display my action figures and stuff like that. Sold a couple of them too. Sold like 2 of them, and one of them that I've had for over 10 years that I've been looking to sell, but like nobody's been willing to pay the price for it. So it was a really good experience for me. However, what I noticed early on was that I was selling copies of my book. I was selling the Bubble Patrol. I sold a copy of the Book of Guri. And I sold the only copy of The Boy Who Didn't Like Bananas that I had taken with me, which for whatever reason I didn't think to pack more in my box. But that was the children's rhyming book that my dad wrote, that I illustrated, that we told about the story of a little boy who didn't like bananas. And it stems from several years ago, probably about 10 years ago. My dad was living in California, and he met a guy, an adult, who didn't like bananas. And my dad just thought that was like the strangest thing. He was like, who doesn't like bananas? And so he presented the idea to me, and we made the book, a children's book, for the ages of about 5 to 7. And it's really a book about understanding and tolerance in terms of, you know, knowing that somebody may or may not like the same things that you like, but you can still be friends with them. You can still like them and respect them and, you know, communicate with them and things like that. And it was the first project I ever worked on with my dad. And we have another project that we're working on, but I really need to kind of kick him in the butt to start, you know, doing the writing, because he's written like a small treatment, but we really need to just get onto it. Anyways, other than that, it was really cool. I had a lot of fun. I was near a couple of really great people, made some new friends, bought some stuff, stayed within my budget, which was really, really important. And I made some money. Like, I made more than my table back. So that makes me want to go back next year. I've actually already purchased my table for next year. So I'm going to show you some of the stuff that I got. That's why the camera's pulled out a little bit further. The very first thing that I bought, this is something that I've seen in Harley's Toys and Comics. I've seen some other people selling it, and it was during setup, I think on Saturday, actually. The guy next to me was selling off his personal collection like I was with mine, and I got this super sweet Marvel Legends Eddie Brock Venom. I like this one better than the classic one where the mouth is closed, just because, I mean, it's got Eddie Brock with it too, so it's just a really sweet figure. Got a really super deal on that, and that wasn't the only thing that I bought from that guy. This was the very, very last thing that I purchased that was staring at me the entire time. I've become a really big fan of Wolverine in the last couple of years. I mean, if you can't tell, the fact that I bounce back from pretty much everything, no matter what it is, kind of lets me know that there's sort of a kinship with this character in that I don't let anything, defeat me, or at least keep me down for too long. So this was super cool, and I'm really hoping, and I haven't tried it yet, that the Old Man Logan figure, that the head pops off, or comes off, because I'd love to put it on this body, because I just think that it would work really, really well. It's a great story. So the other thing that I got, something that I've wanted for a while, and I think I've only seen it once or twice, within reason, and back then I couldn't afford it because of what it was retailing for, was this 2-set. Now these are open. I don't care, because I'm going to take them out, put them up on my shelf. I got the Chronic and Blunt Man to go with them as well. The guy across from me was selling these as a 4-set with the Chronic and Blunt Man. And I asked him, I said, well, I've already got the Chronic and Blunt Man. I really just want the Jay and Bob. Would you consider breaking up the set? He was just like, I will, but here's the thing. And he told me about how the boxes were cut. All the accessories and stuff are still in there. So I'm just super psyched to finally be able to get those. These things are like, I don't know, 15, close to 20 years old, I think. And I'm just like still geeking out about it. And then the final thing that I got, I didn't actually purchase. Found a gentleman who was near my friends at Presidio Comics, like right in the heart of the show. And he's been by them like every single year that I've come and helped them, which was the last 2 years. He had Amazing Spider-Man number 361, the first full appearance of Carnage. I had this book years ago. I think I had 360 as well. And then at one point I was hurting for money, and I decided, I really needed to get rid of it. And what with his, cameo in the Venom movie and his subsequent, thoughts that they're probably going to make a Carnage movie or something along those lines. It's just a sweet book to have. It's a really good story. It's the first splinter off from the Venom character, of course, and I really dig Venom as well. And I was like, I can pay for it, but I really like to try to make some money. And he said, well, where are you posted up? I'll come down and maybe we can trade something. And so it was really kind of cool, because earlier in the day, this one guy came by and he saw like a DX Previews exclusive or a Diamond Previews exclusive Hellboy, Unknown Rama figure from the first movie, where he's got the full horns and everything. And I had it marked at about $70. And this guy was just like, wow, I really like that. And I was just like, he was like, what's the lowest you can go? And I told him, and he was just like, I really don't want to spend more than 50. And I said, if you come back around this time, let's see what happens. And then when this gentleman, Martin, came down and was looking at stuff, he saw the Hellboy figure, and he was like, would you want to trade for this? And I was just like, absolutely, because it's a comic I want. It's a figure that I hope you want and that you can use or sell or, do whatever with. And so we made the deal, and I came back to his table and got the Carnage book. It was overall, it was a really cool experience. It was nice to table there. It was super cool to be able to sell my comic book to new people. It was a guy who came up and he was just like, did you do these books? And he was pointing at the Bubba Patrol. And I said, yes, I did. And he goes, I don't want to know what they're about. I just want them. And I was just like, all right. And he was just like, I just want to support local artists. And while I was signing them, he was just like, I look forward to reading these because they look really fun. So I hope everybody who came out to Tucson Toy Show had a lot of fun. I hope you come back next year. It's a really super sweet event. There's a lot of vintage stuff. There's a lot of new stuff. There's a lot of comics. There's a lot of obscure stuff. And the really neat thing that is different about a toy show versus a Comic Con, at least that I've noticed, especially as an independent creator, is that with a toy show, people go there specifically for toys. People go there specifically with that agenda, and they have money. And not to knock comic book conventions, because it's not the convention's fault, but a lot of people go and they're looky-loos and they kind of just want to see what's going on, and at the very tail end they might want to try to, you know, like really undercut you on something. And so like my prices on my figures were pretty firm. I priced them to the point where if, you know, we did some wiggle room on them, I could, you know, stand to take the hit and stuff like that. And I was just looking to have fun and kind of do like a cleansing for myself, and like, you know, you don't need all this stuff. And I actually came home with less stuff than I left with, which is kind of neat. One of the few times that I've ever done that. And just want to send a shout out to Tucson Toy Shows. I'll definitely be back next year. I mean, I already purchased my table, might get a second table. Hopefully I'll be near the Presidio Comics gang just because they're my family. And I'm super looking forward to it. And just thank you for the awesome experience. Also, in note, I was going to take single issue comics, like key issues, with me, and found out a couple of really cool things. Like, I was going to take my Saga #1 that I bought on eBay like 2 years ago. For whatever reason, I'm sitting in the parking lot at Tucson Mall after the Arizona Comic Book Creator Meetup, and I like comic book realmed it. And last I'd seen it was like 120. And I was just like, well, I'll mark it at like 150 and see what people, you know, want it for. And it popped up at 190. I'm like, all right, well, that's going back home. Plus, I think it might be in talks for like a movie or a TV show or something like that. And then my friend Charlie Harris at Charlie's Comic Books had a #1 of Young Avengers up on his wall. And it's going at like $40 or something like that. And I was like, I know I've got that book. And so I dug through my books last night, and I don't have that book. However, I have the 2005 Wizard World Los Angeles sketch cover from the VIP series. If you went in as a VIP, you got that book. And I was just like, okay, well, you know, last I looked this up, it was like 10 or 15 bucks or whatever. And I look it up and it's $100. I've also got, Charlie has up the first Cassandra Cain as Batgirl from Batman during the No Man's Land series or storyline. And that one's booking at like $40 or $30. So still have some decent key issues, just, you know, picked up another seriously key issue as well. And overall had a really, really great weekend. I look forward to doing it again. Unfortunately, it's not for another year, but that just gives me time to plan and look at stuff and, you know, create more things and hopefully, you know, pick up some stuff that I can then, you know, get out to people who love these characters and love this medium. And that's one of the reasons I love doing this and going to shows and stuff like that, is because it's super important to me, because I love comic books and I love toys and I love, you know, all this stuff that seems, you know, to regular people, it just seems so insignificant, but it brings a lot of joy to my life and it gives me a lot of purpose and motivation. So until next time, hope you guys have a wonderful week. I'm taking tomorrow off, and peace.